problem for BYU, as much as I love their team this year, love watching them, love that offense, love how they play, love how deep they are, especially at this time of year. I think that can be a massive advantage. The real problem is you got a very tough road. I don't think that anybody else has a tougher road to the Final Four that is left. Now, we're splitting hairs there because so many favorites have won that it's like almost anybody that's in that sort of a spot like BYU is, you're going to have to go through a 2-1 and like really good teams and combos and all that, whether it's Tennessee and Houston or Alabama and Duke. But I mean, to me, Alabama and Duke is a step above. Alabama's got the Final Four experience from last year. They're another super high scoring team. They've been the most high scoring team in the country the last 2 years. Nate Oates, I think, is an excellent coach. And then Duke looks like the best team in the country right now. I don't know how you could really argue that. Duke absolutely looks like the best team in the country. We just saw what they did to Baylor. Not that Baylor was a world beater in the Big 12 this year, but man, they completely demolished the Bears. So I think it's going to be really tough road to hoe to do that twice back-to-back for BYU. So just get one, get to the Elite Eight. I think it would be, obviously it's already a successful season. That'd be an unreal successful season in year one for Kevin Young if he can get that done. And I'm very much here for that game, because you talk about like a stylistic, aesthetically pleasing game. I mean, that's what you're going to get from this. This will be two teams that want to score, two teams that are going to get up and down, and like you're going to have really good shot making, and this should be fun. This will not be one of those typical college basketball knockdown drag out. Like, what's happening here? Like, this is not, if you had like Michigan State and Houston going up against each other, right? Not that kind of a matchup. Michigan State and like St. Mary's, you're not getting that sort of a matchup. It'll be the total opposite. Michigan State and Drake, Drake, another one of those really slow, methodical, grinded out kind of teams. So that should be very good theater. I don't know that we're going to see BYU in the Final Four, but saying that they're a Final Four sleeper, I think, has really already basically played itself out by them getting to the Sweet 16 and looking at the way they're playing and saying like, man, yeah, these guys are playing at a super high level right now. Let's see what happens. Now, the problem, when I say, I guess everybody, BYU has as tough a road as anybody, or a tougher road than anybody, is that Arizona's in the exact same road, right? They've just got to do it in reverse order. Most likely. All of this, of course, most likely if your favorites win. I mean, it would be wonderful for BYU if they're playing Arizona in the Elite Eight instead of Duke, because that would mean Arizona beat Duke. I've got a hard time seeing it, even though Arizona displayed a ton of poise and just didn't get rattled at all, down 19-4 in a round of 32 NCAA tournament game against pseudo rival that they were playing every year in the Pac-12. That was a crazy performance and just test of mettle that we saw there. And Tommy Lloyd, I thought, just set the tone on that when he was asked the question, like the in-game question, what do you do here? And he's kind of like, oh, look, we're fine. Just chill. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was like, it's early. We got a lot of time left. Just play basketball. We'll be okay. And that's exactly what happened. And they were totally, totally okay. The only way you're beating Duke, you're going to need more of that from Caleb Love, right? You're going to need the 29-9, 29-9-4 from Caleb Love again. He's got to be that, and you're still going to have to get a lot of help around him. But I mean, that performance from Caleb Love is the type of performance that can really lift a team in March. And, we've seen it happen a lot over the years. If you have a special player with a special ceiling like that, they can go a long way toward willing you pretty deep into the tournament. The question for me would be, is there still enough around him for him to even be able to do that if he is playing at that sort of high elite level in the tournament? I'm not entirely sure about that, but I'm here for it. And, with a guy like Caleb Love, like, he's so much more enigmatic and up and down than some guys are that have that sort of ceiling. Like you have guys with Caleb Love-esque ceilings that have higher floors. And I think the issue with Love sometimes is that floor can get pretty low. He can be a really streaky shooter, for instance. So you've got that to deal with, but I don't know, in the postseason in this situation when you're taking on a Duke, I feel like you'd almost rather just have this guy roll the dice, take the chance. Maybe you get one of the virtuoso performances out of him, especially because it will be going up against a team that he certainly knows very well from his days as a North Carolina Tar Heel, and you would figure would be very motivated to play against Duke. That should help. That should really, really help. Houston does have this tricky, kind of awkward situation where they have to go play Purdue and Indianapolis. That is BS, and I get that it's harder and harder to put the tourney together now that we're condensing conferences and trying to keep, people they have to coordinate so many things to put together that bracket. But that is a pretty rough scheduling quirk for Houston to have to deal with, to get like a Purdue home crowd in the Sweet 16. Now, the good news is I think Houston is a significantly better team and a significantly more battle-tested team, at least here in the tournament, right? I mean, Purdue gets to go through High Point and McNeese State. Meanwhile, Houston already, they had to hang on, but they got after Gonzaga, and that was the number 9 team in the country, according to KenPom. I think Gonzaga, a really, really underseeded team. So I will take the battle-tested nature of Houston in that matchup as it relates to Purdue, but still brutal to have to deal with that crowd there. That'll be tough for Kelvin Sampson and company. They're going to earn it. They're going to earn it if they get this trip to the Final Four. They will have absolutely earned it, getting the Gonzaga draw, and now this one with having to go play Purdue where it is that they're going to play them at. Now, call me crazy because I know, Florida's great. I understand how they finished the year. I get all of that, but I don't know. They do have a coach who's, new to this sort of stage, basically new to this kind of attention, being one of the top probably 2 national championship favorites right now, Todd Golden at Florida. Texas Tech's got to take care of Arkansas first to get there. I understand that. But I think that might be there for the taking. Man, that might be there for the taking for the Red Raiders. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Tech has proven it can beat Houston this year, a fellow 1 seed. I know a lot of people would argue that Florida is better than Houston, but that certainly gets you pretty close at worst if you've already proven that you can beat Houston. So I don't know here, man. I'm saying watch out. Got to get past Arkansas. Arkansas play. They look like a much different team than they did for much of the regular season. That is a fair point to make. Not that beating Kansas this year was anything to really write home about, but Arkansas also beat St. John's. So could argue that may not be as much to write home about as we made it out to be, that they were slightly overrated. Still, pretty nice couple of wins for an Arkansas team that did not look capable of that a month ago at all. So I'm not trying to overlook Arkansas for Texas Tech, but to me, on paper, based on all the routes that are here, all the roads that are here, that seems about as manageable as any for Texas Tech here in this second weekend. Certainly for anybody who's not one of the 1 seeds already themselves. Texas Tech's been to 4 Sweet 16s since 2018 under 3 different coaches. Did you know? That's a sign of a program, folks. Texas Tech has a program. So anyway, there's some thoughts on what the Big 12 has coming up in the Sweet 16. And then hopefully many teams in the Elite 8 cannot do another last year where nobody makes it there. So, this is, as much as it was great to celebrate what the Big 12 did in getting 4 of 7 teams onto the Sweet 16, this is where it really counts. This is where it really counts. Get somebody to the Final Four. Can't have everybody flame out in the Sweet 16. Let's see what happens there.